Have you ever wondered what life was like aboard the Titanic before its tragic end? The Titanic, an embodiment of human ingenuity and ambition, was launched on the 31st of May, 1911. The atmosphere was electric, filled with unbridled excitement and anticipation. It was the maiden voyage of what was then the largest ship afloat, a marvel of engineering that was as much a symbol of prestige as it was a testament to the technological prowess of the age. The Titanic was more than just a ship. It was a floating palace brimming with luxury and sophistication. Its state-of-the-art facilities were the talk of the town, from the grand staircase to the opulent first-class cabins, to the cutting-edge Marconi wireless communication system. It was a spectacle that promised an unforgettable journey across the Atlantic. Yet, unbeknownst to the passengers and crew, this maiden voyage of the unsinkable Titanic would tragically be its last. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic embarked on its maiden voyage, setting sail from Southampton, England to New York City. Aboard this marvel of engineering were over 2,000 souls, each with their own dreams and aspirations. The passenger list boasted some of the wealthiest people of the era, tycoons, celebrities and socialites, luxuriating in the ship's opulent first-class accommodations. Yet the majority of the passengers were immigrants, hundreds of them, hailing from various corners of the world. They were in pursuit of the quintessential American dream, hoping for a fresh start, a new life across the Atlantic. The ship charted a course across the serene, azure waters, with calm conditions marking the first few days of the voyage. The Titanic, a symbol of human ambition, was cutting across the ocean with an air of invincibility. But as the Titanic sailed further into the North Atlantic, the temperatures began to drop, and the sea conditions worsened. On the night of April 14th, an iceberg loomed in the Titanic's path. As the icy spectre emerged from the gloom, the ship's officers made desperate attempts to steer clear. Despite their best efforts and the advanced technology of the time, the Titanic was simply too large, too unwieldy to change its course in time. The collision was inevitable. With an ear-splitting sound of metal scraping against ice, the Titanic grazed the iceberg. Yet, in the immediate aftermath, an eerie calm prevailed. The majority of the passengers remained blissfully unaware of the severity of the situation. After all, they were aboard the unsinkable ship. However, reality soon infiltrated this illusion of safety. As the icy Atlantic water began to seep into the lower compartments, whispers of worry started to circulate. The initial disbelief and lack of panic gradually gave way to a dawning realization. But as water began to flood the lower compartments, it became clear that the Titanic was in grave danger. In the early hours of April 15, 1912, the unsinkable Titanic met its tragic end. As the reality of the situation began to sink in, the crew scrambled to send out distress signals. The wireless operators, Jack Phillips and Harold Bride, tapped out the Morse code sequence for CQD, the call for distress, and the new international distress signal, SOS. However, despite their desperate attempts, the closest ship, the Carpathia, was 4 hours away, time that the Titanic tragically did not have. As the distress signals echoed into the night, the crew initiated a chaotic evacuation. Lifeboats, meant to ferry passengers to safety, were woefully insufficient for the over 2,000 people on board. Only 20 lifeboats were available, enough for barely half of the Titanic's total capacity. The women and children first policy was enforced, but in the panic and confusion, many lifeboats were launched only partially filled, further reducing the number of people who could be saved. As the last lifeboat was lowered, the Titanic began its final descent into the icy depths of the Atlantic. The ship, once a symbol of human ingenuity and luxury, was now an eerie silhouette against the starlit sky. As the bow plunged underwater, the stern rose into the air, then slowly followed its predecessor, disappearing beneath the freezing waves. In the aftermath, over 1,500 lives were lost, swallowed by the sea. The survivors, adrift in lifeboats, could only watch in horror as the unsinkable ship sank, taking with it their fellow passengers and a certain naivety about the limits of human progress. The sinking of the Titanic was one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in history, a tragedy that continues to captivate and haunt us over a century later. This disaster underscores the need for respect towards nature's might and the importance of adequate safety measures, lessons that were learned at an unfathomable cost.